Croeso, and welcome back to Ant Antics. Today we're going to be having a look at the Byd Enfawr. This means Big Outworld in Welsh. So, when you're having a look at your kit, as always, you're going to receive plenty of parts to keep you entertained. We have a bag of screws, we have corner connectors, we have middle connectors, top supports, and the front and back V2 port adapters. We have a big pile of acrylic for you to work your way through, and you can go ahead now and start peeling that off and removing any of the little pieces that haven't come out of the laser machine properly. You'll see they easily pop out just with a little bit of pressure on the reverse side. Once you've got all of those peeled, come back. I'll show you the next step, which involves the base and the inner frame. Welcome back. So let's take a little look here at the inner frame and how we put this together. You will notice one side is clear and the other side has an engraving on it that says up and front. Now the orientations of each panel are very clearly marked, but follow these instructions to make sure you get them right. On the frame itself, one side has nothing, and on the other side you'll notice there is an F in the actual print itself. That indicates that that's the front side of that piece. So place it with the engraving up and the front both on the same side. You can now go ahead and screw in all of the screws along the base. Remember to do them loosely first, and then you can turn them just until they stop turning. Don't over tighten them, we don't want to bend this piece of acrylic. Here we go, they're all screwed in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at how we put this inside the frame. Now, as you might have guessed, this is rather simple because one side of the frame has an F on it. F indicates that that is the front of the frame. The other side does not have an F. So F to the F and in goes the tray. Perfect. Looking at the front piece of acrylic that we're now going to use, everything is going to be with the orientation of the F facing you. So, here we go. On the first panel here, you see an engraving that says F front inside. Now that means that's the front hand panel, and the engraving points towards the inside of the Outworld. So we're just going to flip this around, place it in situ, and you can get the inner screws done up. Once you've done the inner screws, go ahead on the outside and do 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. All done. The back is the exact same principles, so you will see an engraving on the back panel that says back inside. Here we go. Feel the side of the engraving points towards the middle of the Outworld, and just like the front panel, you can go ahead, do the 2 inside screws first, and then the outer 4 screws. Front and back is done. So, reorientating the Outworld so the F is facing you, we're going to have a look at the 2 sides. These are really simple once you know how. You will notice on here, rather out of focus, but it says left inside with a little arrow pointing in the direction it goes. So when facing the Outworld, the left hand side is the position it goes on. The little arrow points towards the front of the Outworld, and in it goes. Exact same principle applies for the right hand side. The right hand side says right inside with an arrow pointing to the direction of the front of the Outworld. All you have to do is place this in. And there we go. You now have 6 screws to do up nice and securely. Remember though, no power tools, do not over tighten. Next, we're going to take a look at the middle pieces. The middle pieces and the top corners can be applied at the same time, but we need to focus on doing them loosely and then replace it by tightening it later. The key side to have them tight is on the V2 port side, where you can do it until the screw stops turning, and then holding it in position you can then tighten the other side. I'll show you how to do this if I don't drop the screwdriver too much. So here you can see these are very nice and loose. There's plenty of wiggle in them, which gives us the freedom to tighten and adjust as we need to when everything is in place. There we go. So if you hold that flush, nice and 90-degree angle to the up, perfect, nice and snug on the V2 port side. Now the trick is to feel down the seam and make sure it's nice and smooth all the way along. You can then use pressure to hold it in place while you move those screws tighter, just until they stop turning. And there we have a perfect seam joint. So let's do this again on the second one. This time we'll do the top corner first, moving to the middle corner after. As always, you can screw it till it stops turning on the V2 port side, like that. Just make sure they're at 90 degrees. And in with the middle one. Now, as before, we can loosely put these screws in and then hold it in position to do the final tightening. Bear in mind, if screws are not feeling like they're going in smoothly and they feel like there's pressure on them, then reassess the hole. They may need realigning, they might not be 90 degrees perfect, but here we go. I'm holding the seam perfect, it's nice and flush and smooth, and now I can screw in those two screws until they stop turning. That will hold it in perfect position. Now, you can go ahead and do corners 3 and 4 all on your own. One thing you're going to notice when you're building the Outworld is if you screw on the base too tight, you can see tiny little wobbles if you manipulate it too much. I'm pretty sure this isn't all down to my cheap IKEA table. So the anti-vibration feet are going to alleviate most of that. You don't need to worry, but if it does bother you, you can just go back around the base screws and loosen them ever so slightly, and that should fix the problem. Now when you've got 4 top section supports to go on, it's just 2 screws in the side, and then it's ready for the 1 screw to go in from the lid. There we go. You can go ahead and get all the other ones done. And there we have it. We're ready for the lid section. The lid rim's not difficult at all. In the background here, I'm just removing the plastic from the acrylic, but there is a little piece here of an engraving. The arrow goes up and the arrow points to the front port with the F. You can now get this screwed in, and you can insert the lid frame. You can also insert the lid itself, connect the V2 ports up, and you have a fantastic Outworld ready for your new colony. Thank you for watching. See you again soon.